On my channel, I don't just talk about tools, I use them. Shots fired. Alright, what we're going to be doing today is replacing the suspension on the Camaro. What I got here are Koni orange STRT shocks fitted with UMI lowering springs. And the best part of all is decals. When you sell your products, you got to have decals because everybody loves stickers. The whole fist doc is what the man said to the proctologist. Okay, what I'm doing here is I'm just measuring the gap between the fender and the tire itself, so I can actually stick my whole fist in here, which is about like 3.5 inches from where the tire comes down from that rounded part towards the sidewall there. So I'm gonna measure this. This is the front end, so about 3.5 inches, and then I'm gonna check that back in as well. All right, so the rear fender and tire seems to be the same, just about 3.5 inches. So I just want to get these measurements in before getting the shocks and springs put in, which this is going to be a chore. I lifted the car under the differential, and I don't know, it looks like it's leaking, so I might have to replace a seal on that. That's great. So I'm using a hockey puck on the middle of the differential, and I got 2 jack stands underneath the car, so I'm going to drop the rear differential and just let that whole thing come down. All right, just removing the wheels. All right, so what I did was I unbolted the end link a little bit. I still got the nut a little bit hanging up on top here, so I didn't do it all the way. And I'm going to drop the differential. I had to jack it back up a little bit just so I can get that undone. And now I'm going to lower it. Just lower it nice and slow. Keep an eye on it, make sure nothing goes wrong. Okay, let's see how that turned out. Well, went down a little bit, but looks like not much. But it should be enough clearance to try to get those springs out. Those springs are under heavy load. I also undid the shocks. So there's 2 19mm bolts that hold in the shocks, and it's a 15mm bolts that hold the end links together on that sway bar. And now that I removed the shocks, or unbolted them from the differential, it dropped down a little bit more, so I'm going to be able to get a pry bar and get these springs out. Just be very careful when you do that. So I got these hyper tough stuff from Walmart. Pry bars here. Let's see how this goes. A lot easier than I expected. It's going to come out with this rubber grommet here, which I'm going to put back in, put that back into place as well. So that was surprisingly easier than I thought it was going to be. You can see the size difference between the new and the old spring. So the car looks like it's going to get dropped pretty substantially. It's set about 1.5 inches in the rear, but it looks like a little bit more than that. And I just hope I don't scrape anything while having these on, like the exhaust or the connector for the subframe connectors. I have a bar that runs from side to side. So we're going to see how this goes. I'm going to get this thing installed right now. Right, so since I got that spring out, this right here is kind of a buffer in between the spring and the bottom of the car itself. And it spirals just like the spring. It's got a little stop area right there, and that's where the top of that spring's gonna go. So when you put this in, the smaller end is gonna go up against the differential. The bigger end is gonna go towards the bottom of the car. And just gonna line that up, just put that right on top. And there's also a piece on the differential that's made out of rubber that the bottom piece is going to go into, so we're going to slide that right on in there. Hopefully y'all can see that. Looks pretty good to me. Okay. Just gonna put this right up into that crevice. So it slides up, and it's not gonna hit the bottom of the car yet because this spring's a lot smaller. And the same thing with this. There's an area where that rubber piece stops for that spring. So just get it all lined up. And then you're gonna slowly jack up the car, and while jacking up the car, just keep an eye on it to see where those rubber grommets are gonna get placed, because up in the top, there's a little pivot point. It's kind of indented outwards for the top of that rubber piece to go in for the top of that spring. One thing that I do have to stress is you see those lines, you got brake lines, and you got the cables for the handbrake as well that run from the bottom of the car onto the differential. You can see that they're actually put in place by a couple of plates. So when you're dropping the differential, do not drop it too far to where you rip one of those hoses, or you're gonna have a bad day. Or even that wire harness you see there. But there seems like there's a good amount of slack on that wire harness that runs from right up there. So just be sure, be mindful of what you're doing. Don't let that differential drop down too far, because it will drop just enough to where you're not going to pinch off a hose or knock off a hose, break a hose, tear anything, to where you can get those springs out. And like I said, undo those end links and undo the shocks themselves. And I'm going to have to unbolt these shocks from the inside of the car, so I'm going to have to go open up the hatch, pull the carpet forward, push the back seat forward, all of that to get to the access points, which I will be showing that. All right, what I'm doing here, now I'm going to tighten up the end link. I got the springs in place. This job is a lot easier than I thought it was going to be so far. I'm not sure about the front. That's a whole different animal. But now I'm going to use the 15mm wrench and socket with my 3/8 impact stubby. Tighten this down. Oop. Wrong way there with the wrench. It's a ratcheting wrench. And I must say, I'm very impressed with these gear wrenches. Like, I'm not a shill. I'm not getting paid advertisements here. For a ratcheting wrench to just take the abuse of an impact socket, and I've hit these with a hammer too. I mean, what more can you ask for less than $100 off Amazon? Yeah, if you can't tell, this car's my baby. 2002 Camaro SS. Car number 9,874, and I think there was just shy of 12,000 being made in the 2002 year for the SS's. All right, to get to the access panels for the top of the shocks, to take those out, I'm gonna have to remove these panels here. The cheapest tool you're gonna use on this car, a quarter. Just gonna undo these, unlock. Undo this, unlock. See how cheap that was? So for some of you that never seen the back end of a Camaro, when you pull that panel out, you got your spare tire, got your run-of-the-mill garbage jack, and then there's a sensor right there for the alarm system. You're gonna have to pull these retainer clips out, and it's gonna be a Torx 40 to do that, to be able to pull that carpet back. After you get the carpet pulled back, there's gonna be this little sponge, this foam sponge here, and that's gonna be covering up the top socket, or the bolt for the top of that shock. Now, last time that I replaced the shocks, I had to take a vice grip and hold the top and then wheel this off with a wrench. And so I got to loosen up to just undo it with my fingers. Now, I'm hoping with the quick responsiveness of an impact that is going to come off real quick. So it's going to be a 14mm socket. Let's see how this goes. I can even finagle it in there. So much in the way. Ah! Came right out. Shock fell down because it wasn't bolted to the differential. So be sure not to lose all these pieces. And so when you put the new one in, it's going to come with the hardware. So you got the washer, and then you got a rubber grommet, and there's going to be a rubber grommet that's going to go up against the bottom of the car, and then a washer that's going to go up under that. I'll show you that in a second. So I ended up replacing the factory shocks with these piece of shit, yeah, I'm going to say it, piece of shit OE Spectrum, and this thing leaked. It leaked so bad that I think the sticker came right off of it. I'll show you the sticker on the other one. Don't buy these, I don't recommend them. OE Spectrum by Monroe. Alright, here's a new shock. So it came with those stickers. I put those stickers on there. I think it would look kind of cool. I mean, probably not going to really see them, but anyway. So this is going to be the washer. You're going to keep that on there with that rubber grommet. And you're going to slide that up through the bottom of the car. And when it's inside the car, this is what's going to protrude where we're going to put that nut onto. And then we're going to put that right on the frame of the car. And then this washer is going to go right over that. Alright, it is very simple to do. So I got the new shock in. It's just it's very easy to see the hole from the bottom and just slide it right through. And then now what I got to do is I got it mounted to the differential. I got to tighten that up. So it's going to be a 22 millimeter bolt and nut for that. So I'm just going to use my 3/8 impact stubby and just a wrench, get that in place. And I think the sticker looks pretty cool, but it's not like you're going to see it much. I like that UMI really took the time to decal out each part. And I thought that looked pretty cool because it came with a sticker per... So it came with 4 stickers, one for each shock, which I'm going to put one on my back window. I put one on my toolbox, and I thought it'd be cool just to put those stickers on the rear shocks themselves. All right, here we go. 22 millimeter socket. Well, I'm going to fit on that side. Hopefully there's enough clearance here. Make sure that thing's, there we go. God, that thing's loud. I need hearing protection. I think that'll do it. Okay, so rubber grommet. Just get that smashed on there best as you can. Pretty sure it'll get smashed down with the impact as well. Get your washer, place that right on top. Nut with the tip side up, and that's going to be a 19 millimeter. So I'm hoping this impact stubby will get that on there without me having to use a damn vice grip. Let's see. And that got stuck. Let's see. Okay. Looks like it might be tight enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to check this over. Make sure it's nice and tight, that this top portion here isn't constantly spinning to where this won't get any tighter. Both springs and one shock is in, so just repeat. Same thing for the other side. That's it. So here's the piece of trash I'm not recommending. OE Spectrum, and I think they're made by Monroe Shocks. Okay, the rear is all done and bundled up. I can't, yep. Nope, there's no room. Barely get like 3 fingers in there. So it looks like it did drop it about 1.5 inches thus far, but the car hasn't even settled yet. So still got the front to do. I think I'm going to make this a 2-part episode. Just go ahead and upload this one, and then just make that front end just its own animal. I've never done this before with like a full suspension, so this is new to me. I hope it turns out well, and I hope you enjoyed this. I actually had a lot of fun doing this. So I still got to bundle up the back. I got to put all that stuff back together to pull the carpet back, put those foam pieces back in for that, as well as the other parts. Don't forget to put those back in a place, which they mount up right here on top of the carpet. Just put it all back together, and that's it. So she looks definitely sitting lower. The front end looks kind of stupid. It looks raised up, but that's it right now. More to come. Just stay tuned. I hope you enjoyed this. This is Chemical Spore, out. The back end looks a lot lower already, and it hasn't even settled. Haven't even taken it for a test drive. I haven't done the front yet. Like I said, I'm gonna make this a 2-part video. You can see that gap, and you can see so far that's been dropped. It just looks kind of stupid right now. I can't wait to get it all finished.